Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you are well. This Friday 1, December 2023. We meet today to talk about CHZ, CHILIZ's crypto. As usual, we will dissect this video into two parts. A fundamental part. We will come back to CHILIZ, to CHZ, to the news, which is very important. And we will go to the graphic part to project price, medium, long-term on purchase prices, prices of sales, and you will see we have big indications, and that starts everything. Right now, as a reminder, you always have the possibility of having free access to the educational course, which is a 60-hour training worth €400, which allows you to learn blockchain, crypto, investment, analysis technique, trading, everything to become profitable. Through 130 videos, 400 pages of guides, quizzes to find out where you are in your progress, and all for free. To have access to this lifelong training, simply use the platform of one of our partners. Everything is explained in the comments and descriptions. So, for CHZ, explain CHILIZ. So you have to understand that already here is the old image of CHILIZ. I will show you after the new one. But it is basically a blockchain which aims to provide an infrastructure for those who wish to build applications around entertainment. They really nestled and specialized in sport and entertainment, and especially sport, really, in which they developed an application to be able to create and actually use fan tokens, and the goal of CHZ is to be the interfacing between these fan tokens and the rest of the world. If you want to have PSG, for example, you will need to have CHZ on the CHILIZ exchange. If you are going to tell me, yes, but I buy PSG, for example, elsewhere, I buy it directly on Binance in USDT. Yes, but to do this, the exchange had to use CHZ to be able to access that, and therefore through that alone, CHZ is the means of use and exchange around all fan tokens who gravitate around. Besides, they have completely changed their image. We can clearly see the new image which is being prepared for the bull run, in which they are heading towards the fact that they are a Layer 1 EVM compatible. So it is truly an infrastructure blockchain to be able to build anything and everything around sport and entertainment. And that's why they also launched CHILIZ Chain 2.0, which is called Scoville, which was essential to be able to simply facilitate scalability, reduce costs, and above all be EVM compatible. Without that, it's true that it was much more complicated to be able to develop applications, and they went much further because they decided to set up a redistribution of gas costs, being that as soon as we execute elements on the applications which are on CHZ, which are the fan token applications, we have a part of the fees which are redistributed to those who developed or those who operate the applications themselves. Besides, we still have quite a few things being put in place. We have Socios.com, which is behind CHZ, behind Scoville, and behind CHILIZ to exploit the use of fan tokens and the conversation and marketing around fan tokens. And besides, where are we in terms of fan tokens? Well, already what is interesting to see is that we have some, yes, but we still have fewer than historically. So that means that there are plenty of them who actually gave in at the beginning, but who have certainly withdrawn their fan tokens or who have stopped distribution or exploitation. So that also means that there is a form of wave that is taking place, and which is rather logical. When we are in bull run, obviously everyone is talking of crypto, everyone wants a crypto, and next to it fan tokens are succeeding precisely thanks to that, and in which we have a valuation, so which is completely logical. On the other hand, what is interesting to see is that we have big partners who have arrived with in particular big infrastructures and fan community apps which are built around that. We are going to have Legend, for example, or Utilify, which are good present, and which are important, in fact, to explain the importance that will having CHILIZ in everything fan token and community app, because that's exactly where they're trying to go. Okay, understand that they got into sport because it was simple, but it's clear that it's entertainment that's looking, and that's really the very principle. They are looking for entertainment to be able to work on this part. And that's really, really important. Different creators and managers of the companies. Okay, we know that we have a link between, for example, Hasher and the different directors of CHILIZ. They get along very well, so it's completely logical, and we is going to have a body that is present and that is important in terms of validator and in terms of infrastructure. So basically it's building, it's continuing to develop. There hasn't been a big valuation at the level of Scoville, so there was perhaps, a little flop which was set up. But what is interesting to see is that in all cases the infrastructure is available, and that once again it is linked to the hype. From the moment we are going to talk about crypto, we are going to talk about NFT. There will be an interest in having fan tokens, and therefore we will have a valuation of CHZ, which will be done through that. We must just understand how it works to be able to position yourself upstream. Besides, at the CHZ level, we are at 86 OK, so it's not bad. It means that there are very few tokens left to issue to dilute, and we are on a diluted market cap of 640 million, which is relatively weak compared to the project. And it also shows that the project itself is perhaps already in a bearish phase. This is what we will confirm on the graphs, in which you will see it is very interesting in terms of pure analysis, in which we have a phase. Hop, we're going to put in Logar just to have the whole part in automatic and logarithmic, where we see that we have a phase here of accumulation which is rather structural, classic in preparation of the project. We see that we have a bullish breakout which was carried out here, a retest and an acceleration with November-December 2020, and especially the January-February 2021 acceleration with the advent of decentralized finance and the importance that decentralized finance can have in the ecosystem, and therefore we have had a huge valuation of CHZ through that, and behind it we obviously had a downtrend which was very strong and very marked, in which we did not have a new 88th, despite the fact that we had an acceleration at the end of 2021, where we had here the establishment of a wick-off distribution in BC, Arkansas, ST, SAO, okay, so classic, buying climax. We stop the bullish trend, we retrace with the automatic rally, we will retest with the secondary test, and we will sink into the sign of weakness for work on an accumulation of wick-off to then make a UT and a UTAD. Therefore, an uptrust to seek higher liquidity. And what is interesting to see is that we still have a token which has a lot of difficulty in get out of it. We had a phase in 2022 where we had a big acceleration phase, where we could clearly see that we had a big bearish divergence. I alerted you to that at that time, in which we also had a distribution which was very present, and a break which had been noted here, which gave us precisely the bearish acceleration, and then the retest to then have the second phase of bearish acceleration, and we can clearly see that we had a lot, in fact, quite simply difficult to keep the lessons in agreement. While in January and February 2023, we had performances on all cryptos on BTC, so we had something which was very bumpy, CHZ. This was not the case. We were still here in the phases of sale linked to this bullish acceleration in which many people capitulated and actually sold in this zone, and that is why we did not have any bullish acceleration. What also hurt a lot here was June 5, 2023, the SEC's announcement to pursue a certain number of cryptos for being securities, and we see that we cannot manage to recover from that. CHZ is still stuck here in a retest of this accumulation phase. We could consider that here we have an SC, an STB here, an AR which is there, and therefore a retest of the AR. But it still remains very weak. We have not managed to look for this imbalance which is there. We have not gone. Actually look for the top of this bearish breakout when we should have consolidated above, like many other altcoins which have been impacted by the SEC. We see that we cannot structure like that while we should have. So on that note, I admit that it's not necessarily very bullish. It's not even at all, because we don't have a bullish breakout. Here we have a small bullish break, but it is really very weak, okay? The bullish breakout that is really important is this zone. Here we have to go back above the SEC at a minimum and reconsolidate above 0.14-0.15. If we don't consolidate at this level, that means we're not leaving again, okay? And here, it is certain that it will be very complicated to pass, because we still have people who have not capitulated, and when we pass here, there will be a reduction in exposure, and there will be a profit taking from those who bought just in the lower part to get the upper part, okay? So obviously here, we will have a form of effective retracement to have a breadth of market, and which at the same time, when we see what we have had, we are not going to do a skyrocket. Straight away on CHZ, and we see that CHZ is not enough for the market to push for push. Okay, we can see that the market is still able to consolidate, except that CHZ over the last 3 weeks is not consolidating and is not arriving to rework. So it is an asset which is a little uncorrelated from the rest of the cycle. And that is why you have to be very careful. The other important point where we will have a lot of trouble getting through will be the 9 and the 1, in which we inevitably have the selling climax, which was carried out on the first bearish impulse, which was precisely Terra Luna and Celsius 2022. Therefore, obviously a very important level. What can we expect as a bullish target if we really have this system, this structure which is inverted, with here a structure which is being put in place which is rather bullish, reconsolidated above, perhaps do a little retest before leaving? At that moment we can say to ourselves that we are going to look in a point being here the obligatory 0.30. There it is an area which was very complex. The same we will have a big sell-off, because there are a lot of people who are stuck in this range between 0.25 and 0.30, and then we will go much higher, and we will retest the liquidity here. We have an equal high which has been set up here, so there we will have an effective retest liquidity in the 0.35, and then we will certainly go for the ST. What do you need to be able to get a new AT8th? So that's really important. We need to have a hype that is established. We need to have an adoption behind it that increases in terms of fan tokens, in terms of entertainment. And in fact, we need to have a use of CHZ in different applications to be able to continue to push. The infrastructure is there, it works, but now we need users and we need companies that invest to create fan tokens. If this is not the case at that time, we will not be able to have a strong valuation of CHZ. But if we stay in technical 100, we could consider that we are in a big wave. One Eliottis big wave 2 to prepare for a big wave 3. This big wave 3, he would go for the 1,618 at 1.5, which is still enormous in terms of target. That's why I'm telling you that there are many, many elements to achieve 1,618, and obviously that means that we must have a bull run not like the others, and have a bull run in which CHZ manages to express itself, something which is not assured either in view of the different narratives that we could see and in view of the different platforms that we could see which could be competitors to CHZ in particular with the RWA. Therefore, the real-world assets, I have made videos elsewhere on YouTube around this in which we have a valorization of real assets through tokenization. So we are going to see other protocols which will arrive, and what is the impact of CHILIZ in relation to that is that they will be able to create incentive, to communicate sufficiently, and to create enough hype to promote the CHZ through all that and their infrastructure. That will be the big question for precisely 2024, 2025 for precisely the implementation bull run. In any case, I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment. It always makes me very, very happy. We'll meet again tomorrow for the weekly video in which we're going to cover a lot of things because we still have quite a few revelations that have happened. That's tomorrow, 13:30.